Hey everybody, welcome back to Bennie Unfiltered. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bennie Unfiltered. Here we are, facing our fears series. Last week we touched on the identifying our fears. We had some strategies there on how to detect that and identify them. It was a pretty interesting series. Actually, this whole series is really good because it's on fears, and there's a lot going on right now in our world that is about fears. I would assume that everyone's got a little bit of that in them. Like we've talked about in the past, it is something that we are all having in our life. You know, it's something that's just something we're born with. We're always going to have some type of fear. It's how severe we want to deal with our fears, or how much we let fears push us back so we don't accomplish our goals and our dreams in life. Who wants to be trapped in a room of fear when you have a door that's opened up to successful dreams? So that's what this series is about, fears. And right now I want to take a moment just to say I hope everybody's doing okay out there in the world, because we have some stuff going on that in my lifetime I've never experienced, to the extreme of things going on within my business, within our daily lives. It's affected everybody, not just the business owners. So I wanted to say I hope everybody's staying safe, and I hope that we can all pull together as a planet of human beings to work together and help each other out. I think that'll be the biggest key here for all of us, to do the right thing and not do things that are going to make this problem worse. So I hope everyone's doing okay. Our prayers are with you and your families. And let's get started. So today we wanted to talk about the isolate of fear. When we isolate our fears, how do we detect those fears to even isolate in the first place? One of the things I'm always talking about is people, places, and things, because that can be the biggest thing. How do we isolate from those that we love or have become super close family and friends, or just acquaintances or whatnot that are in our circle, but have something to do with this fear thing that we talk about? One thing is to isolate from those situations. And what I tend to do now is detect it. So if I detect something that's an ongoing problem, then there's a problem there. I'm ultimately in charge of anything that has to do with anything that affects me. So I have to identify that I can't blame somebody for where they're at in their life. They might not even know that they're doing it, and if they do, they just don't want to do nothing about it. So sometimes when you change these things, people will look at you as, oh, you just think you're better than. Well, maybe you are, because you're willing to medicate this. It's like a virus, right? We isolate these fears and it can spread and be toxic, and we can break out in all kinds of things of fear, and it ultimately will break you down and destroy you. I face them all the time. One example right now, we're going through this stuff. I'm a business owner. This affects my business. It affects me dealing with people the way I need to educate and have them properly be able to quit smoking from vaping and be, nicotine free. How do I do that when I have to curbside a product or whatnot? So there's a lot of stuff going on there with my employees who need a job, their families. I have all this on my plate. There's fears there. How do I provide for everybody that's accountable to me to provide for? So I have to sit there and go, how far do I want to dwell on that? Do I want to let it destroy me, where I go into that like depression, or just cut off everything and don't want to talk about nothing and just become Benny the asshole? No, I want to be Benny, the guy that's got his crap together and will work through it and lead by example, and reach out to the people that I look up to that lead by example, so I can learn from their experiences. So you want to detect these things, and you want to isolate as soon as possible from them, because if you prolong it, it's only going to make it worse. I talk about it in all the series. Recognize it, and when you recognize it, remove it now. Like I say today, if you've been taking your notes and you got your thing, remove anything that has fears around you right now. Remove them. And once you do that, how do you maintain now? Sometimes you'll be surprised. When the one door shuts, the other one opens, because someone walks into your life that has the answer to some of these things. And you're like, wow, where have you been? Well, you might be missing out because you haven't taken the time to even identify the problem. So if you haven't identified the problem, how can you even recognize the people around you that are trying to help you out? Okay? That's what this is about. It's like cleaning out your ears and wiping off your eyes and seeing a clear vision on these fears and isolate from them. When I isolate from them, it's a self-medicated thing now. The virus, no pun intended, but there's like a breakout from these fears. So if I maintain it and medicate it, now I'm aware of these. As time goes and all these fears approach, I know what they're going to be and feel like. so I know how to detect it. Sometimes we isolate from just changing it up or less interaction with. So if I have less interaction with and I'm changing things up, already I've isolated. I've isolated in a positive way, not in a negative way. We're not shutting down and pushing people away that have something good to offer us. We are opening up the door and going through another part of our life in a journey. So isolate them, recognize them, and more will come. We'll always be faced with fears. It's just inevitable. So face them, but be strong about them and recognize them. The sooner, the better. So then we move along doing that. So it's pretty simple to me when it comes to that. It's about how hard-headed do you want to be, and how stubborn is it that you want your chaos to be that full on your plate. So self-medicate them, isolate from anything. And it's really cool because next week we're going to be talking about how to detect that and how to work through it. So how do we really do it? So next week we're actually on our last series of the Fear series, and it'll be on the strategy to beat your fear. Okay? So I know this is short and sweet. Take your notes. If there's anything or any questions, go down below. Look at our website at www.bennieunfiltered.com. There'll be more on the episodes that we've had in the past. Follow the Facebook page. It's got a lot of good stuff that's a little bit more in depth on the studies and research of some of these things. Follow it. Take your notes. Call me, email me at bennie@bennieunfiltered.com. Also, we got the book out I've been talking about. There's a lot going on, you guys. But the book is on entrepreneurs. It's by Jim Britt and Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. And there's a whole bunch of co-authors in it. And it's called Cracking the Rich Code. Check that out. We're on, there's actually the third volume's out now. I did the first and second. I'm in the second one. I still got to get the third volume, but I mean, not just my story. There's so many entrepreneurs in there that are just, it's amazing to see the strategies that they've used to get to where they're at. So I suggest getting it. That's Cracking the Rich Code. And I'm in volume 2. So check us out. We're going to see you next week on how we're going to design a strategy to get through these fears. But right now, let's work on facing them and identifying them and working through them. Write them down, and let's start there. Any questions, you want to come on the show when we start doing our interviews and going live on every channel that we have? It's going to be amazing. We'd love to hear your story because you can give back to your community as well. This is Bennie Unfiltered. We'll see you next week.